Hi, how you doing? It's Catherine, here to talk about Prince Andrew. I'll make it quick. It's not a pretty story. And I think as lawyers and law students who are learning English and are learning about commercial awareness, there are a few things on YouTube connected with this story that can really help you. The Prince Andrew story has been going for a long time, and our royal family have protected him up until the moment where they just can't. And I think the reason they can't is largely because of writers and journalists. Two books have appeared recently. The first is by a British writer called Andrew Lowney, and it's called Entitled. And he describes in a YouTube interview the legal process of publishing a story like this and what the lawyers do. So, Prince Andrew, as you probably know, is accused of a far too close association with the convicted paedophile Jeffrey Epstein. And he has denied these facts over and over and continues to do so today. But they are published in Andrew Lowney's book as facts. So where do the lawyers come into this? Well, I watched an interview with Andrew Lowney, and he said, first of all, the lawyers like interviews with witnesses who are providing the facts to be on the record. If facts are on the record for a writer, it means usually that the person giving you the facts is prepared to stand up in court and say that they saw and heard the following things. The lawyers for the publisher of the book are generally much happier about the facts being published if you have someone on the record. What's the opposite? Well, off the record. If someone gives you an interview off the record, it means they don't really want it published and they are certainly not prepared to stand up in court. Journalists sometimes call it an interview on background, but as a lawyer for a big publisher, you would want on the record. You would usually also want more than one source for a fact. So the things that Andrew Lowney has written in his book are usually backed up by more than one person. A lawyer would say multiple or several sources of the same information. The other thing as a lawyer you don't want is for something to be hearsay. That's all one word, hearsay. And hearsay is when someone says, well, my friend heard from someone, or my friend was with Prince Andrew and he told me. That's not an original primary source of information. That is what lawyers call hearsay, and they will not want that in a book. The lawyer will warn the publisher, don't print hearsay, because if the person you're writing about, in this case Prince Andrew, decides to sue, it's very hard to prove your case when you've printed hearsay. So Andrew Lowney, the book entitled, if you can see any interviews with Andrew Lowney about his process and what he went through with the lawyers of his publisher, that's commercial awareness and it's great legal English. The second book, very quickly, is called Nobody's Girl, and it was written by Virginia Roberts Giuffre, one of the victims of Jeffrey Epstein. And she is all over the news now. Sadly, she has passed away. She took her own life in her early 40s. Terribly tragic. But she says she was a victim of Epstein and Prince Andrew, and she has basically brought him down. her ghost writer is a woman called Amy Wallace. Virginia couldn't write the book herself. She worked with a professional writer, Amy, and in it, she names Prince Andrew. Now, she doesn't name many men. She refers to 3 men who she calls Billionaire 1, Billionaire 2, Billionaire 3, and a former Prime Minister. I think she says former Prime Minister. She doesn't name them. Why? Well, her ghostwriter, Amy Wallace, said all 3 billionaires and the Prime Minister made it clear to Virginia that if she named them, they would make her hell. No, I got that wrong. They would make her life hell. I suppose her hell life works just as well. But what they said was, we will keep you in court for the rest of your life and it will take all of your money. And I think lawyers need to understand, especially law students, you don't go to court quickly and easily. When you've got an opponent who is a billionaire and who says we will take all of your money and make your life hell, you do call them billionaire 1, 2 and 3. You don't risk it. Why did she name Andrew? Because there was a photograph. There was a photograph, and that makes it very, very hard for him to deny it, although he is, but it keeps the lawyers happy. The lawyers will say, go ahead and name him. You've got a photograph of him with your arm, with his arm around your waist. That's the way that it was. The royal family protected him until the final moment. And that makes me think, what's wrong with having them, the king as the head of state? What's wrong with our constitution? They've only done this when they absolutely had to, and they've done it, I think, to protect themselves as the monarchy. I won't go into British constitutional law because you don't want me to, but as a British citizen, yeah, that concerns me a lot. The other thing that comes out is small details, at the moment they're small, about his behaviour in business, and in particular that he gave false information to Companies House, our central register of companies. If I did that, I'm pretty sure something would have happened by now. So let's see what comes out. But as lawyers and law students who are learning legal English and commercial awareness, I'd say try to avoid the awful details and just listen to what the lawyers are saying about this. And my final thing is Diana. I hope she's in heaven laughing her ass off at all of this. Bye bye.